You are the expert. I am merely a man. What is the right play here? Are you going to bet your Titans?
I will not be betting my Titans just because I
Ah,
feel like whenever I go out on a limb for the Titans, they always let me down. So when I stay away from betting on them and tooting their horn, that's when they actually play well. But just by the book, let's take the Titans and the Jags off the nameplate for just a second. This is a divisional matchup. 6.5 points. I feel like it's too many points. Like it just feels like
yeah.
too big of a spread. And here's about the thing about the Titans. Normally their defense can keep it at least pretty close in the games. Will Levis doesn't have to light the place on fire. He just has to take care of the football. They have been treating him like he is going to give away every single ball. Like that's what bothers me about betting the Titans in this scenario is how
Okay.
conservative the game plan has been with Will Levis. At the end of the half last game, they had 45 seconds on the clock and they chose not to even run plays. They ran one run play and let time expire as opposed to any other team in the NFL that would take that time and try to at least get a field goal. So I think that bothers me about the Titans. Maybe they're in tank mode. Maybe they don't care anymore. So definitely it's a team trending in the wrong direction. But still, it's a divisional matchup. And this is the matchup where Derrick Henry normally excels. He has rushed for
hmm
over 100 yards in 4 of the last 5 games against the Jaguars. Granted, those are teams from years past. It is not the same roster. But still, this is normally a matchup where he excels. So if they can get that ground game going, if they can take some pressure off of Will Levis, I think they can keep it within the 6.5. So if I had to play a side in this game, it would be the Titans plus 6.5, but I don't think it's making the card.
Hmm. Well, you make a very compelling argument. I still like the Jags. I like the Jags minus 6.5. I just believe if you look at the Jags' losses this season, they're all to very good teams. And the Titans, unfortunately, don't qualify as a very good team. Let's not forget, before getting blown out by the 49ers, the Jags have won 5 straight. So there is no shame at all in losing to a San Francisco team that just might win the Super Bowl. That is one of the top 3 favorite teams to win the Super Bowl. And when you look at the numbers for the Titans on the road, they just really, really struggle away from home. And I'm not quite ready to buy into Will Levis just yet. I like the Jags at less than a touchdown. What about the Texans, Chelsea? What are we going to do here? The Cardinals are in Houston this week. All of a sudden, who knew this season that we would be talking about C.J. Stroud and the Texans? Now, the Texans are laying 4. The Texans are minus 210 on the money line. The Cards plus 225. Your over-under set at 48.5. But the spread has come down from Texans minus 5.5. So Arizona money coming in, I'm not buying it one bit. I don't care if it seems square. But Kyler Murray does nothing for me. This is still a bad Arizona offense and actually a very, very good Texans secondary. Besides C.J. Stroud, I think that's been one of the surprises of watching the Texans this season. I will be on Houston.
Well, here's the problem with that. I think when you watch the Texans, I would be with you. I would be on Houston -4. In fact, I've already bet this one. It was a gut feeling play. But if you
hmm
look at the Texans as favorites, this has not been a position where they have been very profitable against the number. In fact, I am failing to see a single game this year where the Texans have been favored and they've covered the spread. In fact, they're 0-3 against the number as favorites this year. It's only been 3 games, so maybe it's a small sample size, but still, I think by the book, you look at an Arizona team that everybody has kind of bought out on, and maybe Kyler Murray can do something here. I do think that the Texans are the play that, by my own eyes, I will be playing, but the Texans in this spot, like I'll take them as underdogs against some of these better teams, but I'm sitting this one out, I think, from a official standpoint. Yeah, obviously I already did the gut play on the Texans, but still, as favorites, 0-3 against the number. First up, we're doing
Oh,
the favorites teaser. Cowboys -5, down from 11 over the Panthers. Then we're doing Niners -5 at home over the Bucks, down from 11. Then we're doing the primetime teaser. Eagles +9 against the Chiefs. and the Bengals plus 9.5 at the Ravens. So who ruins my teaser?
Maybe the Cowboys? No, they're not going to. No, they're not going to do that. I always say this every week. I think these are smart teasers. I don't see another team ruining this teaser. I don't. I think possibly there's a letdown spot. The Cowboys aren't as good on the road as they are at home. They're much better offensively in Dallas, so maybe they play a tighter game than they anticipate in Carolina, and I don't know. Frank Reich has some sort of game plan which maybe keeps it within the number, but ultimately it's hard for me to find any fault there. The Lions are interesting because I feel like they can play with anyone, but I also feel like that maybe they're a year away. Like, once they get to, they're going to make the playoffs. And once they get there, are they better than those top-tier teams? No, they're close. But that's the thing. In the playoffs, I would say this. If there's any team outside of the ones that we always mention, right? The Eagles, the 49ers, the Chiefs, the Bengals. Outside of those teams that we always mention as part of that conversation, the Lions are right there. So if they're not in the top tier, then they're right outside. They're looking in. They're looking in the window like, yo, you got some room in there for us. We're from Motown. Remember us? They're right there. They can play. I also think that we always talk about narratives on this show because narratives matter when it comes to sports betting. It matters as far as how you assess different teams. And when you have a team like the Lions, for example, that you're just not accustomed to seeing play well, it takes a while to accept that just maybe this is a very good football team. So I'm not saying they're there yet, but I am saying they are right there.
Can you imagine being in a store and you see Dan Campbell knocking on the window pane, like, hey, brother, let me in. You're like, oh my God, we better let that guy in. I think he's had at least 12 coffees or maybe 12 espressos. I don't know. That man is jacked up. We probably either need to hide or let him in. But I think you're spot on when it comes to saying that maybe the Lions are a year away, because this feels like the case in most sports, where teams kind of have to go to that next level for a couple of years, kind of learn to win in the postseason before they can reach the ultimate step, which is winning a Super Bowl. It almost feels like the Sacramento Kings last year in the NBA, where they were a great regular season team. They are constructed pretty well. They don't have a ton of playoff veterans. In fact, it was most of the players' first postseason, but they were a good team with a lot of good pieces. It just felt like they were not to that stage yet where they can comfortably win in the postseason and you can have faith in them. That's how I feel about the Detroit Lions. So I think for now, I'm out on the Lions.